In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one, the only, Cash Kraus.
Yes, sir.
Did you like that dramatic pause there?
That
Was
was a
one of the
good
best.
dramatic pause.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes you'll just have them in the middle of sentences and they don't make sense.
Well, it's
You'll say
not,
one word, then dramatic pause. I mean, it gives me no...
The thing is, it's not a dramatic pause. It's me completely drawing a blank on where I'm at.
It's a mental
Unfortunately,
lapse.
I deal with, just going.
Going places in
places,
your head. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I understand. But that dramatic pause, my God.
Perfect timing. One of the best.
No second take.
No second take
We're
there.
rolling
No,
with that one.
absolutely
We
not.
got it. Print it.
Yeah.
Send it out. But that was
And
great.
that's saying something too, considering we have almost 400 episodes. That
is.
was one of the best. So
You're
we
finally
should
getting
definitely
it.
mark
You're
that.
definitely
So,
getting
yeah,
it. But did you see? I know this is off topic, but I was just on IMDb, and so
Okay.
the first thing that popped up
Yeah.
was: did you see the Tom Cruise?
Oh, I listened to the audio and everything.
So good.
It was so good.
It was maybe the most human I've ever seen Tom Cruise. For
Absolutely.
the first time, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this guy's not completely like a robot or fake or anything. Because whenever he's in front of cameras, he's got to be so happy, you know?
All the time.
And it freaks me the fuck out. It's not,
especially.
It comes off not genuine at all. Very fake. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling, but this Tom Cruise, if you haven't seen it, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible 7, of course. You could always guess.
Do they have video footage of it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, just audio. Because that's
Yeah.
all I heard. I didn't see the video of it.
But Tom Cruise, this is kind of movie news too, but Tom Cruise, someone wasn't wearing a mask on set, and this guy...
Sounds like 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, it sounded like it was most of the crew.
You motherfuckers! And
it
I'm like,
sounded like-
oh my God.
It sounded like he was talking to people that were high up too, because he's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're gone. You have to listen to it. This guy is very passionate about filmmaking.
Well, and
this is a
that's-
guy that has nothing left.
No,
But
no, literally,
filmmaking.
like, that is his life calling. And, like, he thinks...
Doesn't have a family anymore.
Yeah,
Doesn't have a wife or kids.
Didn't work out the last couple times.
The last few times. So he has, if you take away film, I'm guessing this pandemic, even though he's a multi-millionaire, lives in China, has been tough on Tom Cruise. Because if he can't be in front of a camera, this guy's losing his mind.
Absolutely.
But I did love it. I loved it.
I wonder
want
if
to
the
see
Sea
more.
Org, all those people, handling Tom Cruise's stuff. I wonder if all of them wear masks 24/7. I'm assuming.
Well, they got to
But
know.
it's got to be a weird ideology though with Scientology because you're supposed to believe that like you're supposed to
I
live
know.
for millions
He's-
of years.
He's really
but
dipping.
It's like
He's double dipping in
I'm like,
most
what
science.
is it?
Okay, Tom, you do believe in science. Now you don't believe.
It's like when it deems fit is when they're like, okay, yeah,
doesn't
I
believe in like kids taking medication for ADHD or anything.
any of that stuff.
But
'Cause
wear your
Scientology
fucking
can
mask.
Fix that.
But wear your fucking mask. He is. Yeah, you got to pick and choose with Tom Cruise.
You kinda do.
You either love some things about him, you hate some things. You got to pick and choose.
Now, on a serious note, I have a question for you. Did you think that was out of line?
No. I mean, if you go back, because we're giving it kind of out of context, he goes back, he says he's very passionate. He's like, thousands of people will lose their jobs if we get shut down.
Yeah.
They had to move, Mission Impossible had to move all over the fucking place to be able to shoot in London and stuff. I don't think he was out of line. I mean, those sound like those fucking greedy bastard, why not wearing masks? Because they have jobs, They don't know what it's like not to fucking have jobs. And Tom Cruise, of all people, somehow is like the most man of the people. Of all the people on the set, you would think he would be farthest from
giving a fuck.
Yeah, and what the people want. But no, I don't think he was out of line.
Well, and that's I do actually agree with that, because there were a lot of people online actually defending Tom Cruise, which kind of blew my mind, because like work, HR and all that kind of stuff. You figured Twitter would be in an uproar about it.
Oh,
but
and Hollywood actors blow up every once in a while.
Well, Christian Bale, famously,
very
Terminator
famous.
Salvation, might have gone a little
You just
overboard
hope
there.
it's for a better movie.
Yeah,
you don't
or for a
want to
better
blow.
cause.
You don't want to blow. Yeah, exactly.
Like saving jobs,
exactly,
for people.
and people not getting COVID. Yeah, exactly. So that's I don't think it was over.
And
it was nice, as you can hear, he was yelling through a mask. So
he was.
even when he was yelling,
it was a little muffled.
even when he was yelling, kept the mask on. He's true to his fucking word. Although he might be, part cyborg, so maybe he doesn't need to breathe the fresh air as much as us. But I did appreciate Tom Cruise. Good looking out.
When I think what absolutely justified his freak out was when he specifically brought up, there are thousands of people who depend on this movie for their job, to pay their mortgage, to feed their families. And that's, like, for me, where I understood his frustration, because, like, you have to look at Tom Cruise as the entity. Like, he's not just the actor on set, he's also the producer.
It is a lot to put on yourself for Tom. I mean, he's putting a lot on himself for sure. I think that guy might snap at one point, but it's a lot to be put on, because he is, at the end of the day, he's not the showrunner or the studio exec or whatever, but he's putting it all on himself.
Right.
Which is, Tom, I mean, it's probably not healthy, but
that is his calling, is to make movies. And you could see how passionate he is about it, because he's like, people depend on us to make movies. So like, he really feels like that's his central purpose.
Yeah.
Which it is, obviously.
Yeah. And you can hear all the other people, they're all just agreeing. I mean, no one is like freaking out and saying this is bullshit or whatever.
Well, if you're on set, are you going to...
They're all agreeing. Yeah. Well, I mean, but they all, I think they all knew that they made a mistake. So nothing's going to come of it.
And he got called out in front of the entire cast and crew, which is probably
not like he was just fucking pulling people out of the crowd.
That's what it sounded like.
And the key grip. He's
like, I've had my mask on the whole time. You don't even know my name, Tom. You don't even know my name.
You'll be fucking gone. All right.
I'm wearing it. I've been wearing it.
No one's more worried than me, Tom.
Yeah, I wear it in my car when I pull up.
But it probably hurts him just to take it off to act. He's got to take it off to act, He's,
of course.
He's probably just right.
Could you imagine Mission
itching to be on that
always
thing.
with the mask on? That'd be awful.
Yeah, crazy. But I just wanted to bring that up. It's the first thing I saw. That's not the reason we're here.
Yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious. Please go back and watch it.
Yeah, you have to listen to that.
It's a classic Hollywood freak out.
It absolutely
They
is.
never have the video for some reason.
Well,
I think
think about it.
Yeah.
Think about how hard that is for a crew to try to record someone freaking out. I'd rather
and who's it going to help? I mean, worst thing you get, best case scenario, I guess the video blows up, but you get fired.
Yeah, you get fired for recording.
So I really don't know. I think once that shit happens, it's kind of an unspoken rule. Everyone point the camera down or something so you don't get... Because Tom Cruise gets fired. They're all fucked. There's no job or anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, all right, we're moving past Tom Cruise. Yes. We're not here to talk about it. We're here to review a film, a new Amazon film called Sound of Metal. Actually, it's drums mostly in this.
It's a lot more drums and a lot of screaming.
Yeah. Well, it's metal. It's metal, bro. But, new Amazon film directed by Darius Marder, starring Riz Ahmed, who's fucking amazing.
Incredible in this.
Olivia Cook, who's also amazing.
Also amazing, yes.
But
his directorial debut, too, if I'm not mistaken.
It doesn't say that on the Wikipedia page, but he doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
So it's his directorial debut.
I'm guessing, but who knows? But I know the story was based on a docu-fiction that he was writing.
Yep.
So... But that was been in post-production
since 2009.
It's like New Mutants.
Yeah. Worse. Worse than New Mutants. You never thought you'd find a film worse than New Mutants, but lo and behold, here is Sound.
Well, this one's so bad that it's been in post-production so long, he made an entire new movie about that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
In the time. So I got a feeling that movie's probably not coming out.
No, probably not.
But, Sound of Music. It's, Darius Marder. I'll just give you the premise.
All right.
Real fast off the top of my head. Super simple premise, actually.
It is.
Couple Olivia Cook, Riz Ahmed, rock stars, not really, just up and coming, doing the circuits, doing really crappy shows, like back of bars and shit. But pretty good. Might be coming up. Heavy metal. Riz Ahmed, he's the drummer. Olivia Cook is the singer. One day they're rocking hard. You gotta know it's fucking metal, dude. If your ears aren't fucking bleeding, get your money back.
Absolutely.
Not a good enough show. Nope. His ears literally were bleeding.
Yeah, unfortunately for him.
Which is actually a real medical concern. It's very metal and cool to think about that you're at a show and your ears are exploding. But
to do that over a long period of time,
bad.
Probably not the best thing.
Yeah, with zero ear protection.
Yeah.
Not smart.
No.
Ears, he ends up going completely deaf. By the time he gets to the doctor, what do they say? He has 25% in one ear, like 21% in the other.
Yeah.
And it's going to go fast, the doctor says. It's rapidly.
When he says don't stay around anything
nothing
that's going to keep making loud noises.
But what is a fucking rock star going to do? Rock star mentality.
Rock stars are going to rock star. They're going to bang those drums. They're not going to listen to no dumb doctor. Those people don't know what they're talking about.
They only went to school for 11 years. What the fuck do
So what? I've been rocking since the day I was in diapers, boy.
You know what?
You're not going to tell me how to rock and roll.
Unless you have a PhD in fucking rocking hard.
Exactly.
Then don't come talk to me.
You have no authority here.
Turns out he did have authority with ears, though. He wasn't an ear doctor.
In hindsight, is 2020.
It actually had nothing to do with metal at that point.
Didn't.
Nothing to do with it.
Clearly medical.
Yeah, it's very. But Riz Ahmed, he immediately says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna keep on going." But his character is Ruben, by the way. Yeah.
What a rock star
Ruben
name.
Stone.
Ruben Stone.
Yeah, Stone's a cool last name.
Yeah, Stone's cool.
But Ruben, I don't know.
It'd be cool for a girl like Ruby Stone. Ruby Stone's a cool
Ruby
Stone.
Stone. Not cool for a guy.
No.
But,
Unfortunately not.
But yeah, so that's pretty much what happens, and then it's his
journey to try to discover who he is.
And just it's
outside
not
of metal,
and it's not as much a story about a rock star losing his hearings, like a painter losing his hands or a surgeon, It's much more about a story just how difficult it is to be deaf. It's a really good story of just seeing how hard life is once one of your senses is taken. And that's what it did a really good job of showing. Just how how this weird kind of thing about how there is an implant, a cochlear implant that you could have, but most of the deaf community looks down on it.
Well, they think they don't look at being deaf as a disability.
Yeah, and that's what the cochlear implant is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a cure, but there's no cure because there's no disability.
Right.
They live just like anyone else, but it's just the movie did a really good job of just showing how fucking difficult it is once you lose one of your senses.
Well, it's not just, and yeah, it is difficult, but it's also just rediscovering who you are outside of something that you've been in your whole life.
Yeah.
Or what we understand as Ruben's whole life in metal, and how much that influenced him as a person. And then this journey of like going through this deaf community, and like one of my favorite scenes in this, because it really showed you what Ruben was going through, is when he shows up to this community and he's sitting at the dinner table and everyone's having full-blown conversations.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what anyone's saying. It's like being in a foreign country, in a foreign language, and not being able to understand anything that's going on, any context, anything. So I like the way that was showed, where it was like he had to learn this entirely new skill.
Yeah.
In a matter of however many months that he was there.
Yeah, for a while, I think.
For a while.
But I like that. I love the way that it showed exactly what you're talking about. How difficult it is to like go. I mean, you pretty much have to relearn. It'd be like relearning talking or whatever. You have to relearn everything and go back. And it's the whole deaf community and how they showed it. They did a really good fucking job of that. And the sound design in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
That is the
it may be the best sound
film.
design I've heard in any film. They do such a good job of really making you feel like when he can't hear, you can't hear either.
Yep.
And it's you just hear kind of the
thuddiness,
the vibration,
of the drums.
and just you can't make anything out. But yeah, they did a really, really good job of showing that. But also, going to the community, though, the film also did a really good job of showing, like, okay, you're deaf now, but appreciate that you could hear music. Because a lot of these people in this community, in this house, have never been able to hear sound.
Yeah.
You know,
They've been deaf their whole life.
Yeah, are born deaf. And they're not, they're not trying to hear again or whatever because they don't know the feeling. They're just trying to live their lives the best way that they can. And he never appreciated that until the end, He was constantly trying to get a new, he was trying to get the implant.
He was.
And they don't like that.
They did not take too kindly to that.
Yeah.
I got to talk about, I got to find the actor's name because
I already know what you're talking about. It's so good. I
absolutely
I don't think
blew
he's
me
ever
away.
acted before. I guarantee, I assume he was really deaf. But you're
Well,
talking about,
no, he wasn't really deaf, but
Wasn't?
his parents.
you're talking about Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Paul
Racy?
Racy? Yeah.
I'm Iraqi, Racy. He wasn't deaf, but both of his parents were deaf, and that's how
That
he
makes
learned
sense.
everything.
Because you could tell and Riz Ahmed, you can tell he really did learn sign language for
He
this.
did. It took him about
Absolutely.
6 months to do that, along with the
Yeah.
drums too.
Well, I had to take 2 years of sign language for, and
It's becoming very popular.
schools. And that's what I love about this film is I 100% are for like kids through kindergarten, like first grade, just knowing basic sign language. Because why not? That it helps kids learn language, develop language also, but it helps for deaf people too. It makes it just a very difficult life that much less difficult for just knowing basic sign language. There's a lot of fucking deaf people.
Yeah, there are.
And they have to
Well, they literally have deaf. as we see in the film, but in real life, there are deaf schools, there are deaf communities.
Yeah.
and it's not just
and
like
the deaf
12
school
people.
that they went to was much nicer than most deaf schools.
Yeah.
Go to the Washington School for Deaf in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in a building. It's like 130 years old. It's a rundown piece of shit building.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the one they went to was extremely nice. They had uniforms and shit.
Yeah, they did.
They had like fucking people,
Enough buckets for everyone?
musicians coming in. Yeah. But it was. But yeah, just learning, a little bit, and that's what I feel like the movie was really setting out to do, was just hoping that people would know just a little bit more about kind of the community and whatnot and what it'd be like. But yeah, just learning a little bit of sign language would make their lives so much easier because they're just living a life where I don't know, they have to feel like foreigners, and they're just dancing around in everyone else's world. Every time they talk to someone, they have to fucking. It becomes a chore. You got to break it down. You got to write it around sometimes, but very difficult.
Yeah, very.
It scared the shit out of me, honestly, watching it.
Really?
Well, if to go deaf just suddenly, man, it's frightening. It's very scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could tell Riz Ahmed did such a good job of when he was first going deaf, and that first day, when he couldn't hear anything, and he was still pretending to play drums. And he was just going around in like shock. Like, what the fuck is happening? Just going around, couldn't hear anything. But
did you know that he wore implants to disable him from being able to hear?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so it was pretty method acting to be able to do that. But
the technology too. In the old days, they would have just fucking boxed your ears so you couldn't hear anything.
You just,
All right, action.
Just fucking stumbling around, your equilibrium
Thank
was all
God
off.
we have implants now that make you
yeah.
deaf. Because normally the key grip would just fucking
Give
just
you a good
rattle
old
you.
smack.
But yeah, technology's advancing. That's great. But,
It is.
But yeah, you could tell him getting frustrated a lot of the time too.
Oh, yeah.
When people are talking to him. But Riz Ahmed is so fucking good in everything.
He's extremely
great.
talented.
He was great in Rogue One.
Rogue One, yep.
He was fucking fantastic in Nightcrawler.
That's
Remember?
right. He was in Nightcrawler too. One of the best movies too.
Yeah,
oh my God.
he's only really done these kind of Star Wars is bigger,
Star Wars
but
is
Rogue
so
One is like the indie of Star Wars.
Right.
But he's done so much stuff. I can't wait.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah, he was
The Sisters Brothers as well. That's right. He was in Sisters Brothers.
Of course, he was the one who invented the method of finding gold in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking great.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's someone that you can put
and
in
he
any
plays
role,
different. Yeah, exactly.
in anything, and he's gonna give it 100%. But He's great in a starring role as well. Like he stars in this. He doesn't star in a lot. I think this may be the first thing he stars in. But yeah, he can carry a film.
Another thing that, like, in just talking about the screenplay of this, I love the direction that they went with both Ruben Stone and Lou in their relationship, and how they alluded often to them being former addicts, but the story at no point ever revolved around them, being an addict or falling back into that.
I agree. Yeah, I felt the same thing 100% when watching it. It never delved into that cliche that you thought it was going to go into. That just a romance film in general, or just a drama would probably. It knew what the problem was, and the problem was being deaf, and that's what it wanted to focus on. That was the entire focus. Was showing people just how difficult, not that addiction, it's not difficult or whatever, but that's, there's a million movies for that.
Yeah.
This wanted to show specifically just how difficult it was being deaf, and how if you have the right community, you won't slip back into addiction. Because the whole time I'm thinking, this is the perfect time if you're addicted to something, you lose your hearing or go blind all of a sudden, I feel like you're immediately going to hit the needle.
And that's the cliche that I thought it was going to fall into, especially in the big moment, spoiler alert, but like when he's at the deaf community and he basically says, hey, I'm going to ask you I love you. I hope everything works out in your life, and I hope you are genuinely happy. Hey, can I stay here a couple weeks? Look, we don't look at it as a disability. I'm going to have to ask you to pack your bags up. I thought for sure.
Let's talk about that scene.
Here comes the cliche.
Yeah.
We're going to get the addict going back to the drugs. But what I liked is they never did that. I think knowing about the addiction added layers to the character, which made us understand them more. But at no point did it ever take away from the overall story, which was him being deaf, not him being an addict.
Exactly. Yeah. But and you could tell both of them had problems. Olivia Cook's character had scars. She was self-mutilation, stuff like that. So you can tell both of them came from a background of mental illness. Yes. But yeah, like you said, it never got into that. But that scene that you just talked about, the scene with Joe, it's so, you could tell how fucking hard it was for him to do that.
I'm serious. One of the best scenes I've seen this year.
That guy,
good.
I could see it's not going to happen, but he could get a nomination for a best supporting.
I would be 100% on board with that. Like it was so powerful because it was so genuine.
And he knew,
you could see it.
And you could see as soon as he showed him the implant, he knew immediately. Tears started welling up.
Yeah. And that was something that he did brilliantly as an actor. He let the tears well up, but they never came down his face.
I would love to.
You were waiting for that
as just
moment.
A fan of, the science and everything behind it. I would love to just go back and be on set on that day.
Yes.
Just to see the performance.
Yeah.
Just to
the preparation too. I'm very curious how he was
and how many
able.
takes it took, because it looks like he might have fucking nailed it in the first try, dude. Because that's hard to reset, or maybe he did a few takes and then suddenly he hit that good one.
And it was so strange too because he was very stoic.
Yeah,
but you could see the immense amount of pain on his face.
Yeah,
and how much he loved Ruben.
It was perfect. Like, it was perfect for the character too, because he was ex-Marine. He was he lost his hearing, so he was very, like you said, he was this very tough, stoic kind of guy. But he went through the exact same problems just 40 years ago. So he's at a point where he's living with it now. He's much better, and he can guide other people through it. But like you said, that moment when Ruben's trying to fix his house, and he comes out fucking, what are you doing? Get down here. And you're thinking at first I'm like, what did he do wrong? I thought that maybe he stole something or something, and he was just kind of bringing it up there. But no, it was just, he never wanted him to distract himself from what was going on, from the problem ahead. And
it was powerful too.
Very powerful.
When he talks about, being still.
Yes.
He goes, that is when you are in the presence of God. Is when
the kingdom of God.
The kingdom of God. The kingdom, the presence. It's when you're sitting there and you're able to be still and not think about other things. And that was one of the things that he used too, is he goes, just sit in this room and write. Don't think about anything else. Take all distractions away and just be still.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it in the room.
Yeah.
And that's
the whole thing.
Love that.
At first I'm thinking maybe he wants him to write, but no, he wanted him just to be still, just to take it all in. But
and that's where it comes in at the end of the film. I think this is one of the best endings to a film.
Yeah.
And I mean this ever.
Again, it never went down any of those cliche roads that I thought it was going to go. I thought, oh, for sure he's going to go back to the community and they're going to be welcoming him in open arms and stuff. I mean, not to say that he couldn't go back now. They probably would accept him now that he has, taken the cochlear implant out or whatnot. But it never showed that or anything. You just have to assume that. But yeah, him going and finally just turning it off and again just being still, letting it all take in. Beautiful.
I was so I felt a sense of peace and stillness watching this film at that very last scene, because you hear the bells, you hear all of this, and the conversations, like when he's back with Lou and she's throwing that party.
Oh man, that just drives me crazy.
Oh my God, yeah, but it makes so much sense for those devices that it's probably overwhelming for the system, and so you're just hearing all this static conversation, and then to just hear the bells and all the noise. And it was just so overwhelming for those minutes. And then when he just sat on the park bench and took it off, and it was just silent. And luckily for me, I got dogs. I got everyone coming in and out. I watched this at a time where nothing was going on.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was completely quiet. And then I just sat there watching, and it was just silent. And I felt every fucking second of that, man.
And it just sits, too, for like 3 minutes. It's
I love
really
that.
long time, yeah.
It was just long enough, man, where like you could really take in everything that Ruben was feeling. I thought that's my biggest thing. When I watch a movie, I want to come away with an emotion, right? If it's an action movie, I want to feel like I'm satisfied. Like, yeah, I got it out. With a film like this, man, the overall theme is like to accept who you are, to be able to be still in the moment. And like, that's how I felt after this.
Oh, yeah.
I felt at peace, finally, for this Ruben character. I felt at peace that he understood his new path in life.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I even when, he was getting the implant and everything, you just knew it wasn't right for him. You just knew that it just wasn't the right thing to do. And it's a very mixed thing, that fucking implant. I mean, some people hate it, some people get it, and like Ruben end up hating it, because you have to, not only do you have to learn, especially if you're born deaf, you have to learn you have to relearn, how to hear, but your brain is not used to picking up those signals, so it's a very tough thing to do. But yeah, showing him shutting off at then, I was kind of envious, which is a shitty thing to say because you never want to be deaf,
right? But
just to have that complete silence, it's very tempting, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to be able to shut it off. I could see how, and that's what the film did such a good job, is showing you how it's almost preferable to not hear, especially when you're surrounded by people. The only thing that's stopping, deaf people from being 100% happy is just not everyone else not knowing sign language. If everyone else knew sign language, it'd be a perfect world for him.
It would be, yeah.
But that's the only thing that's stopping him, because, but when he was in the deaf community, it was like nothing was different. It was like the world was exactly the same how it was before he lost his hearing, because everyone knew sign language. So there was no difference at all. They were just living normal lives. But, yeah, I thought it was beautiful. Beautifully done. Awesome movie. This is one movie I wish, it's not real over-the-top theatrical, but I would have liked to see in theaters.
Same.
Because I would like to have seen that moment with a full crowd, when it goes silent and everyone is just fucking.
There's always that one asshole, though, in a theater that it's like, dude, come on, just shut the fuck up and enjoy this.
I don't know about a guy going to see this film.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I disagree with that, because Sound of Metal, to most guys, if you saw the poster and stuff, a lot of jackwagons would probably show up to this film thinking it was something
But it's
different.
not the 50. Most people aren't just seeing posters and going, oh my God, that movie looks good. Most people are seeing a trailer. They're looking at a review. Very few people going completely blind.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think you're looking from your perspective because you're a movie buff. You watch movies all the time. There are some people who will just look at a poster. They might see a little bit of a trailer or get some sort of premise and go.
I'm not looking for a movie. I'm looking for a more poorer perspective. Most people I know don't want to risk going to see a movie that they're not going to enjoy and waste $10. So most people want to see it. Most people want to know that they're going to a movie that, at least somewhat you're going to get your money's worth. So I think and that's why they have a fucking movie phone. You got to look into it. I don't know how many people are just going and seeing.
Movie phone? What are we, 2000s?
Yeah, well, I mean, say even before then, people always wanted to know what movie they're going to go see.
Right, at least get your synopsis.
Yeah. I think not very many people are just going up to a theater and go, oh, that looks good, and not even knowing the time or anything. I think for this one, people would have been fucking quiet for it. I know when I went and saw Quiet Place, and that's a movie that was more actiony. People were dead quiet for that the entire time. And it was a packed theater. Going to see Sound of Metal, it probably wouldn't be a packed theater because it's very indie, you know. There'd probably be like 8 other people. But I think during this, you know, it was so powerful that people would have just fucking shut up and just took it in. But would you recommend it for people?
This film? Oh, absolutely. This is on my top 10. One of my favorite films.
This film?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, this.
Not a lot came out this year.
Yeah.
But this would be on my top 10 if even with a packed full slate film.
Oh, for sure.
Full slate year.
Unquestionably. And it was weird because I was looking online, and sometimes I like to read through other people's reviews. Some people were saying this movie was boring, and I'm like, you just didn't get it. You didn't understand it. Like, I can't believe how you would walk away from this film and be like, I was bored. It was meaningless. I thought the screenplay, this has got to be up for a screenplay. I thought this was just perfectly paced, perfectly timed.
I can see some dramas that are even held in very high regard have boring moments, but not at one point did I feel bored was the last thought to come into my head during this. I was into it the entire
I didn't check my phone one time.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I really don't.
Zoomed in, or I just focused in on this.
I was so invested in just how he was gonna get over this fucking problem. Yeah. I really wanted to know because again, the writing was so good that it's at some point you realize, oh, you have no idea where this is gonna fucking go.
Even the ending
with the trailer and all that. I mean, with the thing he had to sell, the RV and everything. I really didn't know how that was going to end, you know. He was talking about rebuying it. Yeah. And then at one point he asked the dad for money, and you think that might be, and you think the dad.
That's a great scene too. When he comes in, I'm thinking it's like the cook or something for, you know, the rich family. We find out it's the father. And I love the father because he's not your stereotypical father.
That's what I was going to say. That guy could have easily been a villain character.
Yep. Been like, you need to stay the fuck away from my daughter.
Yeah, you took her once, now you're not going to take her again.
What he says, and it's beautiful, is he goes, know where she's at right now. She's happy.
Yes.
He never said she's happy because you're not here. He never says that. He just says, make sure she remains happy. And then he goes in, they have this conversation, and then he starts, we got to get the band back going. And I love it because she starts picking at her arm. Very subtle. It's not over the top. And there's this moment where they break down and he goes, it's okay.
I know.
You saved my life.
It's a tough, because he knows immediately that it's fucking over.
It's over. Yeah, for her. Otherwise, she's going to go back to what she was doing. You know, she was unhappy. She's obviously self-mutilation. You know, it's just like.
And she's talking to her dad even though her dad, I mean, it never showed him like he was a great fucking father figure. Yeah. I mean, even during the birthday scene, it made it look like he was using her as kind of like a show horse. Like, you're looking at my daughter, he can sing. But yeah, like you said, that all the characters were written so well. So, I mean, just so realistic, which is, you wouldn't think is a hard thing to do.
Right.
Because we're all real people.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing to do for people to do. But all these characters were, really realistic.
That was another scene, too. I just keep going back to the movie. This movie, awesome. But the piano scene, as you just alluded to, brought up, when he calls his daughter up to sing and we see Ruben, and we think he can hear the music, and then it starts to get more staticky and staticky and staticky and staticky to where he can't even hear the performance at all. And then we get to the next scene, and he goes, yeah, no, you sounded great, you know? And you realize, like, he's not 100% comfortable with the fact that he can't really understand or can't really hear to the extent that he used to be able to how she performed. But he still lets her know, oh, yeah, you did a good job.
I know.
You know?
And
it's kind of heartbreaking.
It's kind of the connection of, like, oh, even with the implant, he had in his head that with this implant, he'd be back to 100% hearing, which they made clear. Not going to happen.
Not going to happen, pal. You ain't going to be able to pound those
But of
drums.
course, it was just the kind of thing that he just didn't want to believe it. He thought that, you know, he kept lying to himself. And throughout the film, he kept saying, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to get it all back together. He kept lying until, like, the last, you know, that time right there where he realized he can't really hear even her performance. And in the last 30 minutes when they're in bed, he realizes that he'll never go back to what he was. Yeah. But it doesn't mean your life is over.
No.
He arguably had a more fulfilling life teaching the kids how to drum and shit like that than he did, you know, with just them two on the road every day. Yeah. You know, but yeah, great movie. It's on Amazon. Go and watch it. This is a longer review than we've had, but it is a very good film. We also had to talk about Tom Cruise for a while, which is necessary.
So it's roughly a half an hour, a little over right now, but man, yeah, well worth seeing this film.
Sure.
This is one of the best films of this year, unquestionably, and highly recommend.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, that is our review for Sound of Metal. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. If you want to find our podcast in audio format, you can find that Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher, social media pages, Have You Seen It podcast. And if you guys want some Have You Seen It merch, you can find that link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus, and until next time.
Bye.